on it. There's a report from Dennis Dodd that the Big 12 is engaged in plans to split into two 7-team divisions beginning in 2023 amid realignment. So this obviously assumes that OU and Texas don't want to pay a massive exit fee and get out of the conference earlier in that. So it's an assumption that the Sooners and the Longhorns will stay through the entire Big 12 media rights deal that ends after the 2025 season. So if you're counting at home, that would be 4 more seasons in the Big 12 for the Sooners, starting with the 2022 season. This also assumes that BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF would join before the 2023 season. So we'd get 2 years of a 14-team Big 12. The most important place to start probably is this going to happen? Like, is this – because I never – if you would ask me 6 months ago, I never thought that OU and Texas would stick around for that long. But some things have changed since then.
No, it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Number one, and maybe you can clear this up, I was under the impression that the buyout lapses after, because they have to give 18 months of warning, right? And then once the 18 months is up, doesn't the buyout expire? Or is that not right?
I am not a contract attorney. I also don't work at the NCAA. But that would seem correct if like 18 months, but I don't think you can still leave early. I still think there's a penalty if you leave early. Like if you give notice, that's like, okay, hey, just let you know.
Right.
But I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know if that reduces your buy. Someone listening to this will know the answer to this. Let us know. Get in contact with us. Let us know how that works.
And the other thing I remember from this whole deal is as soon as a conference engages people in bringing in more teams, that the grant of rights deal that you have currently is dead. Like, it's over. And since the Big 12 went out and tried to bring people in, then like I guess what I'm saying is I don't know where the buyout situation is going to be, but I don't expect Oklahoma to be sticking around for a 14-team Big 12. But if it does happen, I guess I'd be fine with it. A little bit of new blood for a year. I'd be okay with that.
It would be kind of fun because when you think about OU going to the SEC, and the same can be said about Texas, because there's a lot of mystery right now surrounding college football playoff expansion with the season Texas just had, right? Steve Sarkisian, I bet you he wouldn't mind some time to get the roster in order before they make the move to the Southeastern Conference. OU's gone through the coaching change with Brent Venables. I'm sure that BV wouldn't mind a few years to get the roster in order and to build it up the way that he wants to, and to get that culture he wants to get completely established. It does seem like, compared to what we thought in June, where we're like, maybe the OU's in the SEC in 2022. It does feel like the brakes have been tapped a little bit, and everyone's just kind of assessing the situation, because it feels like there's more realignment coming, and I think everyone is wondering what it's even going to look like. So I would love for OU to get to the SEC as quickly as possible, but as far as being competitive when you get there, I don't think it would hurt for Brent Venables to have 2, 3, even 4 more years to build this thing up before they make the move. Now, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I know that they're pushing the SEC, like the move to the SEC, hard on the recruiting trail. So who knows? I mean, it's kind of out of all of our control. So I don't know.
The only person that knows, I think, is Joe C. And you know, the interesting part of it is, like, I don't know when any of this was ever going to see the light of day. Like, they may have been planning on staying through to 2025 all along, but you know, A&M got wind of it and figured they were going to go ahead and dump it on the national media and blow the whole thing up, and they did, and here we sit. So, like, I don't know what the original plan was. If the original plan was to wait things out, well, I'm guessing that is probably where you're going to see this thing go. But if it was going to be a rip the Band-Aid off, surprise move, off we go. We've negotiated this buyout situation, and we're on to the SEC, then it could happen pretty quickly. But um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think anyone would mind, you know, pushing this thing a year. But I think at some point, because the move to the SEC does two things: it makes your schedule more difficult. It makes winning a conference championship and making the playoff more difficult, but it makes recruiting better. Like, you're going to get a big boost in recruiting whenever you make that move to the SEC. So, like, I do think there is a part of where Venables would say, let's get our house in order before we make that jump. But there's probably another part of him saying, in order for us to get our house in order, we need the SEC boost that we're going to get for recruiting.
Yeah, not only that, the revenue distribution, right? And just all that in that extra flow of cash for them to then spend. So,
Right.
yeah, no, there's definitely a give and take with that whole situation. But let's say the 14 team Big 12 does happen for a year or two. How are you dividing it? What, East and West, North and South? Is there an easy way to do it in your mind?
I think it's probably North and South, right?
Yeah,
And
I don't need my divisions in the Big 12 changing. Like, everyone, we've lived through the Big 12 North and the Big 12 South. We're fine with it. We don't need to overcomplicate this. Just keep it simple.
yeah, I think it is pretty simple, and the way you've got it laid out here is probably the best way to do it. Cincy, BYU, Iowa State, KU, Kansas State, Oklahoma State in the North. And I like that. I think that gives you some new blood to probably take a new road trip. Um, you know, I don't know what the crossover games in the South would be. You'd have to guarantee the OU Texas game, but I like it. I think that would be cool. I'm all for, like, anytime you get a chance to play some new teams, I'm loving it.
I think BYU should be required to play Baylor and TCU. We need some religious rivalries in this league.
Yes, we do. That's good.
That
I
would
like
be
that.
that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that if you go Baylor, Houston, TCU, Texas, Texas Tech, UCF, and West Virginia in the South, that makes a whole lot of sense. I guess the only complaint some people would have would be it would just make a lot of sense for Cincinnati, UCF, and West Virginia over there, kind of in the eastern part of the country, to all be in the same division. But you can't have it perfect. I'll tell you this: no matter how it gets divided, if it does happen, somebody's going to bitch about it.
Oh, there's no doubt. And I'm looking at this, and I don't know what Cincinnati and BYU and Houston, I don't know what those teams are going to be like next year. But if we would have had this lineup this year, you would have had something, because obviously Cincinnati made the college football playoff. You know, Baylor had a Sugar Bowl win. Houston had a bowl win. UCF beat Florida. I It's a pretty stacked house right there whenever you look at the bowl games and how they all played out.
If this league would have been together this year, it would have been a hell of a year
I
for the
know.
Big 14.
The Big 14. That sounds so bad, but it would have been some good football,
Yeah,
competitive.
no, I'm with you. I will say I can already hear the decision makers, the politicians in the state of Texas, bitching about all the Texas schools being in the same division and therefore two Texas schools not having the opportunity to play for a Big 12 championship. It's going to be exhausting listening to them complain.
The real thing is, with the divisions broken down the way they are, Texas will have to lose to everyone in the state of Texas. They won't be able to dodge anyone in those divisions. That's the real bad part.
And if anyone's out there like, why wouldn't OU and Texas be in the same division? It's real clean if they're in separate divisions, because remember, they're going to leave for the SEC. And this is a hypothetical exercise. It may not even happen, people, but if they're in separate divisions, it makes it real nice and clean for when they depart, for it to just be 6-6 in the division. So that's why OU and Texas probably would not be grouped together. But I'm with you. You got to guarantee that they play no matter how many years, right? If it is 2 years, they got to play that game, or else people will riot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if it does happen, I feel like the Big 12 would put OU and Texas into the same division, knowing that they won't be able to play each other in the Big 12 championship. Like, you can at least eliminate one of them before they ever get there, right?
Yeah,
you know?
just tell one of the teams, hey, like once they leave, you're going to the other division.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice middle finger to OU and Texas on their way out from Bob Bowlesby, no doubt.
And they're going to try to give one. You have to account for that for sure.